I've been made aware on several occasions that people new to Photoshop don't fully appreciate the fact that there's three main parts to the Photoshop software. So let's just run through that and see what we've got. So Photoshop comes in three main parts. We have Bridge, which is a separate program, and this is used for file management. We have Adobe Camera Raw, and this is where we process our raw files before sending to Photoshop. And then we have Photoshop proper. So in order to ensure that everything works smoothly, you need to make sure that you've downloaded both Photoshop and Bridge, and Adobe Camera Raw will be installed with Photoshop and Bridge at the same time. So what's Bridge used for? Well, simply it's used for managing your folders and files, reviewing and applying metadata if you wish to do that. You can determine which images you wish to keep, which to reject, and we can use labels and star ratings for sorting our images. And we can also launch the images from Bridge into Adobe Camera Raw or Photoshop. Bridge can also be used for batch processing images, which is a little bit more specialized and I'll talk about later. So Adobe Camera Raw is used for initially processing your images, though it's got so sophisticated these days you can almost forget Photoshop for certain types of images. After we process the images in Camera Raw, we can then send the image to Photoshop for any final work. And Photoshop, of course, is used for creative editing. So rather than just basic processing, which can be done in Camera Raw these days, Photoshop is mainly now used for creating montages and things using layers that can't be done in the RAW converter. Final processing of the image, final tweaks, cropping to final size once we know whether we're going to go to print or DPI, final sharpening. We can send the image to print or create an image for digital projection or the web, and we create our final image files, because we were working on a raw file here which will not change. So when we go to Photoshop, we then need to save this rendered image as a Photoshop file, a JPEG, a TIFF, whatever output we need. Now when we're working in Bridge, if we're working with the high quality equation of what we're doing, we'll be mainly talking about raw files. So within Bridge, we can apply different things. We can apply presets within Bridge. These are sets of processes that we've saved as a preset, and we can apply that or any preset to a whole range of images from within Bridge, so we don't need to go anywhere else. So that can be used to process hundreds or thousands of images into a set of processes using presets, and everything we do there is non-destructive. When we go to Camera Raw using raw files, we can apply presets just like we did in Bridge. We can actually create the presets as well in Camera Raw. We carry out most of the global processing to our images in Camera Raw, and everything we do in Camera Raw, including any processing we do to JPEGs or TIFF files, it's non-destructive. When we send the image to Photoshop, it's no longer a raw file. The raw file is saved out of the way, but we are now dealing with a separate image. It's a rendered pixel-based image. And at the end of the processing, we then need to save it as a new file, usually as a Photoshop, a PSD, and that uses lossless compression. So each time we open it up, we do not add to the any compression that's been applied. We don't add any negative artifacts to it. TIFF can also be saved as a lossless file format. If we save our images as JPEGs, then that is a lossy process, which means that each time you save it, data gets discarded in order to make sure that the image is compressed to the required requirements, and subsequent savings can cumulatively degrade your image. So all work carried out in Photoshop is destructive in some sort of way, but we can do lots of things to mitigate that destructive process. Now ideally, this book is emphasizing the use of raw files and maintaining image quality, but the similar sort of route can be used for TIFF and JPEG images as well, but of course the final image quality will never be as good. So hopefully that just gives you a quick overview of the way the three different programs interact together.